Hi everyone, welcome back to Project Happy Home. For those of you who are new here, I'm Tanya, a doctor, lawyer turned homeschool mom of 3 kids ages 11, 8, and 6. Those numbers seem impossibly high now. If you are interested in videos about secular homeschooling, raising a child with ADHD, and living a more essentialist life, you have come to the right place, so be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. In today's video, I'm excited to collaborate once again with my friend Lindsay over at Momma Schmooze Homeschool Reviews, just to show you an update about how my homeschool planner for this year is working. Now, spoiler alert, I don't love it. I don't love it because although I think I did a really good job of setting it up, I really just don't like having a giant bulky planner. I don't for homeschool. You know, if you've watched my homeschool planning videos before, that last year I actually ended up using a bullet journal planner, which I loved, and I couldn't do it again this year because they discontinued that particular bullet journal, which was pre-decorated, and I didn't feel confident about my ability to create spreads and do it in a timely fashion. And I also wanted to try out Mardel's A Simple Plan Forever, so it just seemed like a good time to do that. Now, if I like to big planners, I think this planner that I created for this year would be my favorite planner ever, hands down, period. So I'm going to tell you how it's been going. So I really do like Mardel's A Simple Plan. It is a Christian planner again, but I covered up a whole bunch of it with secular cutouts and stuff. If you want to see that video, the setup of this, I will link it down in the description box down below. In the front folder, I basically keep some planning stickers, some password cards, our homeschool schedule, which is just a table that I've laid out of different, curricula that we're using, etc. So at the very beginning, if you saw my setup, you can see that I have like the school calendar with basically our terms laid out. This is sort of a predictive calendar. It doesn't really hold true even in the best of years, and 2020 was not the best of years. So this has kind of fallen by the wayside, and I'm actually revamping a lot of what we do for homeschool in the coming year. We're actually going to restart our school year in a way, because although we're doing fine for most of our work and progression, I just am not finding a good rhythm this year. Part of it is because of 2020 and COVID and the pandemic and just how it's affected all of our moods. But part of it is just, I think I need a reset. And so we are actually going to switch our school year into a 2021 school year where we run it from January to November, take 6 weeks off interspersed throughout, and then take 6 weeks off at the end of the year, and we will see how that goes. I won't go through the entire setup of our planner this year. If you want to see that video again, I will link it in the description box down below. But at the beginning, we have several pages about the students, like, introductory pages. I always have this kind of schedule page where I have a layout of the daily schedule, and then I have these things that move around so that I can kind of see like how much can we schedule in a week. I don't stick to this as much as I use these little flags to figure out what would work best in terms of time for the week. It's not so important to me, for example, that we do spelling on Tuesday and Thursday, but when we plan out the year at the beginning, it's important to me that I know that we can fit in spelling twice a week. So that's what I use the Post-its for at the beginning. There are several pages that I've customized, as you know from the beginning, like my login information, contacts, people we write to, field trips. You can see the outside activities page is fairly blank. I mean, we do piano lessons this year and we do Taekwondo, but Taekwondo is probably the only thing we do in person. We are in a wild and free reject group. We got kicked out because we like wearing masks. And we do art class with them as well as nature hikes and some nature preserve classes. But for the most part, we've been indoors much more than previous years. I have independent reading list pages, which I have been using for the kids. I laid out our American history, for example, for 5th grade for 36 weeks. I have these little flags separating out the different children. So my next child's work is here, and I just haven't been using it. Like, the idea was to break out the assignments into 36 weeks and then to highlight. I don't like this as much as I just like each curriculum separated out by either page or chapter in a grid format. This is just too big and broad and spread out for me. I didn't like having one curriculum on each page. And you can tell that I started filling it out for a few of them and then I just lost interest. So there's something about this 36-week spread that isn't my favorite. But if you like it, this planner does give you several pages of that because it's designed for 6 children. So you have plenty of room for all of your kids. I didn't start school in August, so I used all of these August pages for different record keeping things. For example, our lightning literature guides. I just printed out the actual description page from the curriculum and put it in. I also had a little interview page of your experience of school and your experience of home for all of my children. Those are from Mary Wilson's blog. And so this is what I do when I haven't done a page yet. I just put in a post-it to say what's supposed to go there. I don't think I'm going to do this now because I am going to redo my planner for this year. This fall for me is just going to be like something that happened but wasn't my favorite thing that happened. And so here we have the year ahead, like sort of the things that we were thinking about studying, if we could study anything, if we could visit anywhere. And so I basically asked these questions at the beginning of the year and fill them out. This is our vision this term. These are by Anna Vance Paper Co. I bought these printables off of her Etsy shop. I don't know if they're still available, but basically they're editable in the sense that you can edit these titles to be whatever you wish, and then you can put in whatever weeks you want. So since we were doing 6-week terms, we put in 6-week things. But you can tell that, again, this didn't completely work for me because I record this information per week, and this is a page that I would have to go back to and fill in at the end of the month. And because fall was a little bit weird, and because COVID has made me a little lackluster about homeschooling, I have not had the chance to complete this. But basically we record the poets, the books, the media, the composer, artist, and songs that we've been working on for the term. I like the concept of this. I might actually reprint this out for my bullet journal going forward for next year. But again, there's something about the bulk of this book and how many pages I had to flip through to get to wherever I wanted to look at that it didn't make it the best for me. I really like our little habit tracker here. It's not so much a habit tracker as a way for me to tell, like, when did we do nature hikes? When did we do poetry tea times? When did we do geography tea times, etc. So you can tell that September wasn't super busy, though we did get a couple play dates in. We did do fine arts quite a bit and handicrafts. There's something here on this page that I started recording that I really like, and that was for the first time this year. Instead of things to accomplish, I started recording interesting things that we hadn't talked about before. So for example, we learned about the Falling Star statue, which is in Alabama, which is a statue commemorating someone who was hit by a falling meteorite and then lived. We learned about a pemmican. We learned about, I don't know how to pronounce this, the Rafflesia, the dead meat smell and look plant in the rainforest. Rodin's The Thinker was a sculpture that we learned about. Donatello's Madonna of the Clouds. Lots about woodwinds and the saxophone. Nature comes from the Latin nasi. So I write down things here that I feel like we've discussed, new things that we've learned as a family together. And then I also recorded special activities that we did, like nature study, nature hikes that we did, art classes that we did, nature studies we did online, the movies that we saw that month, places to go, and I sort of marked whether we had done it or not, supplies needed. This was a very useful page and something that I want to replicate in my bullet journal. One thing about using a book like this is that you really do learn what works for you and what doesn't work for you. I really like having a monthly calendar. I like noting down where in the month we've done certain things. I like noting down what we're learning every month, so that was very useful. On this page, you can kind of get an idea of how I use this planner. This is the workhorse pages of the planner, the weekly assignment pages. So I actually printed out my own labels here and put in little label tags. I think this got torn off at one point, but it says science. So the label tags basically say history, geography, social studies, civics, literature and composition, math and logic, languages, and science. I have languages here because I include Spanish work in that category as well. And if we go to a class or something, I just sort of scrawl it in as what we did. But then I also color code everybody's work. So this is the first time I've tried to do it this way without each of the children being separated out. but instead just having subject boxes and then separating their work by color. So the youngest is in blue, my middle child is in green, and my eldest is in orange. And I basically just marked down what they did and how many pages they did in it. I realized this semester that I hate doing this. I hate writing down every single individual assignment. I don't like color coding. I don't like the detail involved in marking down like that we did Explode the Code pages 15 and 16. I can't imagine when I would ever need to look at this and know that on September 24th we did that. I infinitely prefer what I used to do, which is much more similar to this type of page where I just blocked out the assignments and then highlighted them as they were finished. And so going forward in my bullet journal, that's all I plan to do. And I plan to stop writing down assignments in detail for good. Instead, what I will do is, for example, if my child is reading The Wild Robot, I will write down The Wild Robot, for the week. And I'll say that's one of our read alouds. So like here, you can see that I put down some of the books that each of the kids have been reading. And I will do that. I like the calm of writing it once. I don't really want to write it every single day. So for example, if I know that we're doing the election book, for example, here it's page 22 and then later it's page 23. I don't need to know that. I can track all of that on a separate sheet just with like a few grid boxes for election pages 1 all the way to 180 and just highlight them as they go. This was not working, but if you are the type of person who really appreciates this or who lives in a district where you need to have this type of information written down, color coding works. It's really quick and easy to see what any given child did on any given day. So for example, if a supervisor needs to see, what did your 5th grader do on September 23rd, you can really easily copy this page and just say, everything in orange is what he did. And he definitely did math that day. He definitely worked on languages that day. He definitely worked on, social skills that day, history, reading, geography, civics. It's very easy to see what's going on. Here, if you look at the notes section, these are also labels that I created for this planner. So you have read, watch, listen, and play. This is something that I've replicated for 2 or 3 years now, and I definitely will replicate it again in my bullet journal. I really only need it per week because I like to see that week what kind of books we read, what we watched together. So here it says YouTube videos on the equinox and Spanish alphabet. Also what we listened to. So classics for kids on Mozart, kid news, tumble science on poop, apparently. And here we have the play section. So these are more fun things. Like what did we do that was more interactive, more with our bodies? We did Smart Cookies game, which is a logic game. We did Waldorf rhymes. We did a play date and an art class with Miss Maureen. So at a glance, I can kind of see what extracurriculars did we throw in? What did we do in addition to our standard curriculum? So as it goes on, you can see here, occasionally I'll add a sticker. I just find this to be very busy and unnecessary. But there are some districts, there are some homeschooling laws and regulations that necessitate this type of record keeping. And I really like this planner if you need to do that. Since I don't, I am not going to do this again. I also glue in certain pages. So for example, we did our Universal Yums box from Columbia that month. So I just glued in this page just to remember that. This was one of the things we started doing this year for the first time. It's by Wonderful Days, and I will link her site in the description box down below. But basically, she sends out this calendar with different nature things for you to notice, and they're very manageable and small. I like how relevant the little squares were. She also sends an explanation with different links that you can go to expand the study. So for example, here it says look closely for well-camouflaged crab spiders, and then in her PDF links, she'll have videos to crab spiders, more pictures of them, maybe some art pages that you could journal for them. And so I will link that down below. She doesn't know I exist, but I think she has a great product and website. So I put in little calendars like our Squilt calendar here for the music, the monthly listening calendar. It's another great product that I recommend. And again, like, we continued to record interesting things that we talked about, special activities. You know, it works really well. I just don't love it for myself. But I think that this was a really effective way for me to learn what I actually want to record and what I don't want to record. So this is how it's been going. The pieces that I will definitely keep going forward are basically all my little tip-ins or paste-ins. Like, I like putting in like a little clip of, you know, our Universal Yums box or a place that we might have gone to, like a ticket or something. I really like categorizing what we've read, watched, listened to, and played for the week. I like having a monthly calendar to record, you know, like what we did that month. I also like having these monthly calendars in my planner so that I can access it and have a record of what we've done every single month. So this monthly kind of tracker chart of what we do, I'm not so fond of. I think what I might do instead is make it a weekly chart or a yearly chart or something, or maybe just a tally, because there's something about having to remember to turn back to it every day that doesn't suit me, because we've actually done these things more often. I just forget to mark it, and I don't like forgetting to mark things. So having a weekly column like this suits me much better, and having maybe a checklist for the week is something I'll think about. There are a few things that I just keep in my planner. Like, for example, the Fry's 100 words. We are still working on my daughter's just sight reading skills, and so I like having these printed on cardstock to help out. I've actually blocked out some of our history curriculum when we combine weeks of 2 different history curriculums to see like how they line up. I keep letters that we are going to do this week. For example, this letter from Dispatches from the Deep, we are going to work on this week. But yeah, I think for the rest of the year, since I'm going to switch it up, I think what I'll do is use the planner for just any forward planning kind of things that I want to organize. That way the planner won't be wasted, but it'll just keep going. Some of the other things that I've been doing in this planner is keeping this temperature tree. I really love it. Here's the attendance record for all the different kids. Again, I like this page. I don't know that I really need anything this extensive. Usually if one of my children is doing school, all of them are. I don't think I need 3 different pages for this. I'm trying to minimize that type of busy work that we do. This repetition of like recording things multiple times. Instead, what I think I'll do is have one attendance page, and if one of the children deviates, I'll mark that down in some way. So I do have these pages that I've pasted in for the end of the year, like a look back, last day of our new learning year. I will simply print these out again in a smaller size, in that A5 size for my bullet journal, and paste it in and call it a day. I really do like these pages. The reason that they're still blank is because I only fill these out at the end of the year. I only fill out like my final, this is what we used for these topics at the end of the year, because I know that we've actually gone through them. So when they complete books, that's when I write it down. These are the checklists that I intend to use for curriculum going forward. And I also have a mom's book list here, 100 books of a lifetime. I will simply reproduce these and put them in so that we can work on it. Another thing I keep in the planner are these laminated pages from the back of a workbook that my children finished. I think this was for maps, charts, and graphs. And I just really liked the maps that they had, so I thought I would just laminate them instead of throwing them out. And that way I pull this out periodically and we'll just like look for one country, or if a country comes up in a story, we can find it quickly. With my youngest, I'll sometimes just work on North America, count the countries in South America. I really encourage you, when you get rid of your workbooks, look at some of them and see if there's any pages or charts that you might find useful. You don't need printables for everything. And some of these are just nice things to have on hand to review every single day. So this is how this has been serving us. As you can tell, it's quite hefty. I don't like how hefty it is, but I do like a lot of the functionality of it. If you need to have very detailed plans, I think A Simple Plan is a great book for you to check out. But for us going forward, it will be a bullet journal, and I'm excited to show it to you. So if you're curious about homeschool bullet journals, let me know in the description box down below. I will show you last year's, as well as how I'm going to set up my new one in January. Don't forget to check out Lindsay's video. I'm excited to see how she's been using her planner this year. She has great ideas. I love how she uses highlighting and just like placeholders for information as well. I think that's such a smart way to plan. So definitely check out her video. It'll be linked in the description box down below. As always, you guys, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it, and I wish you the very best day.